So welcome everybody to the Peer Support COPD group. Today in the chat we've got myself and Marianne, and we're from Doncaster. We've also got Lisa from British Lung Foundation, who is here to talk to you today and to take any questions, as well as David from IAPT as well to give a chat about the IAPT service. So if we start with yourself, Lisa.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, so it's really nice to be part of this today. We started some early work in Doncaster initially to actually launch one of our BLF support groups on the 15th of April, which obviously hasn't happened due to current circumstances. So we've kept in touch with Faye and also a couple of other public health leads in the area just to keep conversations going at this strange time, and hopefully in the not too distant future we can look at developing that BLF support group for anybody affected by any lung condition. Just to make you aware that as of the 1st of January as well, we merged with Asthma UK, so we've now got a really long, ridiculous title called the British Lung Foundation and Asthma UK and British Lung Foundation Partnership. So when we're talking it's one of the same things. We've had to really rethink how we're supporting our patients and people who are affected by lung disease over the last couple of weeks. So people who are already part of a support group, they've obviously tried to support their peers remotely by things like Zoom and phone calls and just, you know, keeping in contact. But we also have a telephone helpline, which has been absolutely inundated by lots of calls asking around shielding letters, what it means to shield, social distancing, and where people can get help and advice from. So that's been a really, really good resource for people, and I'm happy to share that number. I don't know if you can circulate via email at the end, but the number is 03000 030 555, and that's available Monday to Friday, 9:30 AM to 5 PM. We have our website as well, which is constantly being updated with the new guidance and new information that's coming through NHS England and the government. And people can also send through email inquiries through that website as well, should their information or the information that they're looking for not be found. So that's www.blf.org.uk. Since we merged with Asthma UK, we're also sort of supporting their services. So similar, they have a nurse-led helpline, and that telephone number is 0300 222 5800. So you can actually speak to one of the asthma nurse specialists there. And again, that's Monday to Friday, 9:15 to 5 PM. Their website again has also got a lot of information. I know there's been quite a lot of confusion we've heard around which asthma medications people should be shielding with, if you like. So there's a lot of information on there, and that's www.asthma.org.uk. So lots and lots of information. Both the helplines are there also for anything to do with asthma and other lung conditions. So it's absolutely not related to coronavirus, although we've just had a team meeting this morning where our March calls, basically that's all it was about. So, you know, if there's other general queries, if people are newly diagnosed or they've had medications changed, or, you know, they're unsure what to do in sort of certain situations, you can still access that information on those websites. And again, that's always kept up to date and with latest guidance available. What we have launched in this last 3 weeks, obviously there's still a massive unknown around the impact of coronavirus, both in the sort of immediate term, in the medium and the longer term effects. So we've launched an online hub, and it's got 3 elements to it really. So depending on who's listening, hopefully it can help lots of people. So there's an element for people who have actually had coronavirus, be it that they've been diagnosed without a test through their GP, through the hospital, through 111. But also if you've actually tested positive through one of the more formal routes. There's information on there for healthcare professionals who are on that front line dealing with coronavirus patients. And then also one of the sort of exciting things, if you can say there's anything exciting about this virus, is for researchers. So we've put a global call out to researchers, to start feeding through very, very early days findings. So it is a bit of a humongous jigsaw puzzle that we're all trying to piece together. But anecdotally we're starting to get, information coming through. There's a helpline to support that post-COVID website, which is 0300 222 5942. And that's where you can speak to somebody, talk about symptoms. What we're finding, what seems to be the case, is that people are experiencing breathlessness for quite some time. So we can help people to try and manage that breathlessness should that persist. There is a WhatsApp group that people can click into. You actually click on the chat on the website and you can speak and engage and interact with some of the respiratory nurses there as well. So if you have had coronavirus yourself, if you know someone has had it, if you're working with patients who may have it, please do have a little look at that website. It has been a bit dodgy to log on to, unfortunately, because of different internet providers. But the website is https://post-covid.org.uk. And I can put all this in an email and post it out. So it's a really, really busy time for us, and it's sort of balancing, trying to keep up to date with all the quite rapidly changing evidence and information around coronavirus, while still balancing supporting our regular everyday lung patients. So please do sort of send people our way if they've got any questions, any queries, and we will best help them, as we can.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Are there any questions from anybody who is currently online for Lisa? No, that's no problem. If you do have anything and you don't want to speak, just type it in the comments section, in the chat section, and you can type it there, or just unmute your microphone and just ask away. Right, thank you, Lisa. Shall we head over to yourself, David?
Thank you, yeah. So again, thanks for inviting me, because I've been to the other two meetings this morning for other services as well. My name's David Garside and I work for the IAPT long-term conditions team. And all I'm sort of doing today is just giving a bit of an explanation about our team and what it is, and how, if you are interested, how you can actually refer into our service. So IAPT it stands for Improving Access to Psychological Therapies, and we are part of the long-term conditions team, and we do support people with COPD and issues with breathing, specifically with regards to how it impacts on their mental health in terms of anxiety, depression, things like that. Obviously, at the moment, with COVID-19 being around, people's anxiety is through the roof, and there's a lot of threat there and a lot of fear about potentially contracting this disease and the impact that it can have on them. And that can lead to anxiety and stress, and potentially it can also lead to panic symptoms for people as well. So what we do in our service is we support people with the weekly telephone appointments. We can't do it face-to-face at the moment because of obvious reasons with the pandemic, but we support people with weekly telephone or video appointments to support them and to teach them techniques on how to manage their anxiety or the low mood in conjunction with their long-term health condition. So I don't know if anyone on this particular group has experienced any anxiety recently, or noted any panic, or if it's impacted on their mood in terms of depression, then our service will be the one that you can refer into, and we can support you, as I say, on a weekly basis. And hopefully the aim of it is to train you to become your own therapist, so that you can manage your condition and your mental health in conjunction going forwards after therapy is finished. If you do want to refer into the service, the way that would work is you contact the single point of access team, and the telephone number for that is 01302 566 999. And what they would do is they'd chat to you over the phone initially, about 10 minutes, sort of a triage appointment, just to check that how you're doing and whether or not you're suitable for the service. Generally speaking, if you've got anxiety or depression symptoms, then yes, you would be suitable. And what they would then do is they'd refer you through to us. We would book you in for a telephone assessment. At the moment, the waiting list to be spoken to by us is to assess. It's 2 to 3 weeks, depending on location. It's not too bad at the moment, so we'd hopefully get to speak to you fairly quickly. And then what you have is a 45-minute assessment over the phone. What's been happening for you? How is this impacting on your health and your mental health? What is the primary problem? What are we going to work on together in therapy? And then that practitioner will then contact you, as I say, on a weekly or a fortnightly basis for 6 to 8 sessions, teaching you some techniques to manage this. And the techniques that we use is CBT. CBT stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. If you Google it after this, it's very strong evidence base for anxiety and depression. Cognitive is your thoughts, how you think about things, how you perceive things. And behavior is what you do or what you don't do to manage your condition, good or bad. And what we look at is what's helping, what isn't, what potentially could be having short-term benefits, but long-term be maintaining the problem. And we kind of go through that with you and personalize a bit of an action plan as to how you're going to manage this going forwards. So has anyone, I noticed on the messaging board there, somebody mentioned that there is some anxiety. A lot of clients have been experiencing anxiety and panic. Has anyone experienced that since this COVID-19 has happened? Anyone experienced any sort of breathing problems with regards to anxiety or anything like that?
David, a lot of our callers to both the BLF and AUK helpline are expressing, you know, feelings of anxiety and panic and, you know, fear. So we're trying to do a bit of work around, you know, managing that. And I suppose that links in with breathlessness. So it's a bit of a vicious circle for some of our patients that we're speaking to.
Yep, absolutely. So obviously with COPD, there's the opportunity for breathlessness anyway. But then what happens is we, unfortunately, I was saying this to the group earlier on, but we have a fight or flight mechanism in our brains which recognizes threat. And if you can't breathe, your brain is telling you that you're under threat, that you're in danger. So what it starts to do is it fires off your fight or flight response. Now the fight or flight response is there to be able to fight physical threats if we were in danger. So what it'll do is it'll increase your heart rate to pump additional blood into your muscles, to tighten your muscles up, to give you that extra strength to fight or run away from the danger. But the other important thing that it does from a COPD point of view is that it actually increases the breathing that an individual will do, because what your body is telling you to do is it's telling you to get more oxygen in your system, because oxygen is our fuel. So what will happen is when you're anxious, your breathing will become more shallow and you'll try to get more breathing in, more oxygen in, to give you that strength to fight the danger. The unfortunate thing is we haven't got anything to fight. There's nothing to, with COVID, it's an invisible force. So instead you get this kind of imbalance of oxygen in your system, your heart races, and unfortunately we misinterpret that as I'm either having a heart attack, I'm going to die, I won't be able to breathe, which in some cases with COPD that is the case, you're struggling to breathe. So that then starts a chain reaction. Because you're under more threat, your body says, right, we need more adrenaline, we need more chemicals pumping into you to protect you. And we start to get in a bit of a feedback loop of, I'm really anxious, I need to breathe more, I can't breathe, that makes me really anxious, and the cycle continues. So we educate people on how panic attacks impacts on you when you've got COPD, how that cycle can start, how to try and break that cycle. And as I say, it's a one-to-one thing. So what would say, sorry, what's your first name? L. Williams, sorry. Is it Louise?
It's Lisa.
Lisa, sorry. So Lisa, if you've got any patients that actually referring to your service and you feel that actually they would benefit from knowledge about anxiety and panic, then give them our number. They can self-refer, and obviously we'll support them as best we can with that.
Great, thank you.
Can anyone relate to that at all in terms of anxiety? Noticing that loop happening sometimes maybe, or is not really happening for this group? Maybe not. Okay, well, if it is, then our service is there, and that's what we're here to do. So okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. So to the, because I know somebody's just logged on halfway through, so just to make you aware, on this call we've got Doncaster, we've got David from IAPT, and we've got Lisa from British Lung Foundation. So Lisa has given us some useful tips and some links to some different services that are out there, and I've put them in the chat section. And David as well has given us the number for IAPT for long-term conditions to help with any anxiety, etc. So we can use this time to fire any questions at Lisa or David, and to even chat amongst yourselves with anything that you've been experiencing or anything that you want any guidance with. So I can hand over to you lot, really. Is there anything that you want to ask, or anything at all?
I've had obviously COPD diagnosed, but I didn't receive any letter with regard to shielding. I have self-isolated and done just the basics. I'm lucky enough to have a garden and keep myself fairly active. But I just wondered, although I've been diagnosed with COPD, I didn't get a letter from the local health authority. Is that because of the severity of my symptoms, or could it be an oversight or whatever? I don't know.
So we've had an awful lot of calls around this, and it's still ongoing, that we're still finding people are getting letters even up to this week. There's been a massive difference in the rate at which those letters have gone out across the UK. So the initial stage is where people with severe COPD and the number of exacerbations. What's happening now is, if you haven't had a letter, but you feel as though you should do based on your condition and your symptoms, you should have a conversation with your GP. Or are you under a respiratory consultant at the hospital? Do you mind me asking?
No, I just got my annual tests. I'm under the practice nurse.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy that I've not received a letter.
Okay.
Maybe that's telling me my symptoms aren't as critical as other people.
Yeah, so I mean, that's really positive, and it sounds like you're managing your condition quite well. You're doing your annual review with your respiratory team at your GP practice, which is great. You know, that's absolutely what we'd want you to do. If you're quite happy doing your sort of social distancing and social isolation yourself, you know, that's the best way forward. Are you managing to get sort of food and bits and bobs? You're sort of keeping yourself well supplied with things and medication?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my wife's got no symptoms. She's quite active, and she's obviously within the guidelines, doing all the shopping and other activities. So yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
Do you have? Go on, sorry.
That this is available now. I think this is a very positive thing that you're doing. Thank you.
Do you have a rescue pack at all?
No.
So that might be one thing you want to ring your GP about, or speak to your practice nurse. So the rescue packs give you a short course of antibiotics and steroids. So if you became poorly at home, if you feel you know what's normal for you, and then if you feel that changes and that's maybe going in the direction of a chest infection that you would need to see your GP for, the rescue packs can give you a couple of days head start on that. So if something happened on Friday evening and you've got the weekend, you don't obviously want to take yourself to A&E, you can start a rescue pack, and it just gives you a couple of days of antibiotics. Then you would have that conversation with your GP. I think one of the big things, and I don't want to be talking out of turn, Faye, is, if you do feel unwell, I think people are a bit fearful to seek medical attention, but you do need to go and make contact or don't go, but actually have a conversation with your GP practice or your respiratory consultant.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you find as well, if there's in terms of getting your shopping and stuff like that, there are the community hubs that are running in Doncaster at the minute, where you can call and basically they can support you with things like shopping and medication and stuff like that. So if you have access to the internet, which obviously you do because you're on Zoom, that you can Google that and have a look at Doncaster's support basically around COVID-19 and what the council are currently doing to support vulnerable people.
Thank you.
No problem. Is there anything else that anybody wants to chat about, or anything at all? No?
No.
Okay then, brilliant. Well, from myself and Marianne, we'd like to say thank you to Lisa from British Lung Foundation and David from IAPT. What you've said and the information that you've given us has been extremely useful. This has been recorded, so the audio is going to be uploaded online. So if anybody who is currently in this call wants to go back and listen to anything, if you've missed it or just want to listen to them again, it will be online, and you can find that on SoundCloud. It will be uploaded in the next few days. I'm going to put the Well Doncaster email into the chat, so if there is anything that you have missed or anything that you want to ask Lisa or David, I can put some questions on and get back to you. Just drop an email at the welldoncaster@doncaster.gov.uk email, and we can pass them questions or comments on to them as well. So just to wrap up, is there anything last minute that you might have missed or anything at all?
Just to say as well, the email address Faye's just put up, if you email any feedback on the group, how you think we could get it to more people, anyone you'd like to hear from in future, any problem you're having, and we'll try and address those issues in future groups, really. But yeah, I thought today was really good. Lisa, what you were saying about the rescue pack as well, that wasn't something I was aware of, so it's really good to know.
Yeah, so on the British Lung Foundation website, we've developed what's called a COPD passport, and it's like a 10-point checklist. So we've got like hard copies of them, but obviously at the minute everyone's working from home, so we can't get to send them out. But you can actually go online and do it, and if you go through each one, each sort of recommendation, if there's anything that you can't tick, that's when you should get an appointment to review with either your GP or your respiratory specialist. So it's things around your annual flu jab, it's things around having a rescue pack, so that if you do become unwell, you can start that medication earlier before it really developing into something a bit more worrying and, you know, having to present to A&E. It's things around having been offered advice to stop smoking if you're a smoker, inhaler technique, if you're being shown how to use your inhalers properly. So have a little gander on there. I don't know what this gentleman's name is, it's just come up as Moto E5 Play. But yeah, have a little look, and if there's anything on there that you can't tick, that's when you should sort of make contact with your healthcare professionals again. And it's quite a nice tool. I think you can print it off on the website, but it's quite a nice tool, because sometimes we're a bit nervous about asking questions of our healthcare professionals. But if you go in with almost like a bit of a script, you can sort of say, look, I think I should be having this, but I'm not sure. It then opens up that conversation, and you know, you've got a bit of oomph behind you. So have a look on the website, have a Google for the COPD passport, and then quite often, if it's something that you haven't got, you might be able to collect a prescription, or they'll fax one over to your local pharmacist where you normally get your meds from, and they'll be able to maybe add that on for you.
Thank you.
Great.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, and thank you for everyone for joining. Again, just to repeat what we mentioned earlier, if there is anything that you want to ask but you don't feel comfortable asking, please just email and we can pass that question on and we can get back to you. So thank you ever so much for today. I hope everyone keeps safe and well, and obviously the sun's not out today, but we can keep hoping for some more sunshine. So I hope everyone has a good day, and we will see you in a fortnight time on the 13th of May is the next group. So thank you ever so much everyone for your time.
No problem. Take care now.
You too.